Welcome to the ship show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, hey, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, boulder, dash, poppycock, bollocks, and fuckery.
Hello, hello. Now, normally I wouldn't do this on Christmas, but I saw some bullshit in the news and I can't help myself. You're probably laughing at the fact that I said this Christmas propaganda. That's probably why you're laughing. And our dear new friend to the channel, Marcus Hill. Paula's cat was the Yorkshire cat from Alice in Wunderbar. Wunderbar means wonderful, does it not? Not Wonderland. I mean, I'm shit on German, but I think Wunderbar is wonderful. But whatever. I know what you mean. Maybe he might have a really classy autocorrect for all I know. All right. So the first article I'm going to show you actually doesn't involve Christmas, but I stumbled across it and it felt like the biggest, I fucking know it. And so I had to share that. Hello, Lady Mist. How are you? Didn't mean to click on that. How are you? And Merry Christmas to you as well. So glad that you are here. And I hope that y'all will join me at 7 o'clock, which means I have to get through these articles kind of fast. So y'all can watch that new werewolves movie. So, and hopefully Cosme will not give me any trouble this time. So hopefully you'll join me for the watch along. All right. We only have like 3 or 4 articles. The majority of what you're going to see is articles that I'm not tackling right now or reference material to show y'all. So let me get the whole screen going. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Hide that little thing right there. Keep that thing. All right. So I wish I had a video of someone going, yes, and doing like a crazy like victory dance. That would be, you put little wolf. But yeah, this fucking shit. Syrian medics say they were coerced into false chemical attack testimony. You remember how they were saying that Assad had attacked his own people with chlorine? Yeah. 2 Syrian doctors and a nurse told the FP in a series of interviews over the weekend that Assad's government coerced them into providing false testimony. Wait a minute, what? Assad's government coerced them into giving false testimony? To international investigators after a deadly... That's kind of weird how this is coming out now, though. But, you know what? Let's see what it says. Let's make the... And remember, I can't play the sound because I don't want to get a copyright hit because YouTube has no sense of fun. So, I don't know if this has sound or not. But... But this tells me that somebody's popping up now and saying they gave false testimony one way or the other. It still sounds like something that's going to be kind of hard to believe. And who does Syria? It says it was supposedly done against a rebel-held area. Syria considers ISIS to be rebel, by the way. So I'm wondering, like, what rebels are supposedly the victims of this gas attack? Because they made it sound like just regular civilians before. $43 people. Okay, I started mossing this bullshit apparently. And an ad. I can't help but notice, I think it's super interesting. In War Torn Syria, he's wearing a Balenciaga shirt. That's like a $500 shirt. That's kind of bizarre, but sure, ignore the details, I guess. But it's just kind of weird. Hmm. I don't know. I feel like the whole thing's kind of in question somewhat if they're admitting they lied. Now, I understand if they were pressured, but since 2018, there's no way they could have said anything else. I don't know. The whole thing kind of seems. There's so much stuff coming out right now, and a lot of it seems like kind of crap in a way. Hold on a second. Hey, Daniel Barry, how are you? Hello, Too Tall. Let's see. Thanks to be here. Shout out to the 7 pound, 8 ounce baby, tiny infant baby Jesus. Yeah, but I was being creative with German. Okay, right on. Hello, Frosty Broccoli. How are you? He said the same thing to get us into Syria in the early 2010s. And in my last live stream, I actually covered a couple of the reasons why. The last live stream was covering the fact that they wanted to run a pipeline through Syria and wanted Assad to sign on and agree to do business with Qatar, Turkey, the U.S., and and he decided he didn't want to do business with them. He wanted to do business with the other guys, and that is where the shit started. And apparently, Syria was the number 2 producer of affordable pharmaceuticals in the Arab world, where Israel was like ranking 6th in 2010. Which, of course, that declined greatly, and they started the sanctions started, and their economy started going to tank. It was bad. Chemical weapons. Now that Assad is gone, the victor. Exactly. We always like to think that when the victor writes the history books, that it's the good guys that win. But no. If you look back in history, you will be horrified by how much the history books are littered with the bodies of good people. Hello, Miss Frosty. I'm so glad and happy to see you. How are you? Thank you. I hope you're having a good Christmas as well. Hello, Canada. Glad to see you. Yes, and the stuff with weapons of mass destruction in Iraq as well. Yes. That is why I have a hard time getting behind America getting involved in any other war. Even arming other wars. We should not be doing that. I mean, arming another country so they can attack someone else, we might as well just go do it ourselves. Otherwise, I'm sure America thinks its hands are clean. They're like, well, we're not directly involved. No, you're involved enough. If your weapons are killing other people, you're involved. Let's see. So invading Iraq stopped the pipeline. Yes, it did. In that article I had done the live stream before last, covered that and mentioned it. Yes. And they've been trying to get it back online since. Or at least a couple of them. I think there's a couple of them. But all right, let me get back to this real quick. Now I'm going to try to get through this as quick as we can. All right. So I'm sure everybody heard about this guy. So the Christmas market killer was an undercover jihadist, claims the AfD leader. That's the German right-wing party. And not just like Republicanish, but I mean like really extremely right-wing. The far-right Alternative for German Party has claimed the Magdeburg Christmas market killer is a closet jihadist and undercover Islamist, because there was talk coming out that his social media was implying that he supported Israel. And that's not a good look. So they're trying to make him look like he's a closet jihadist. So that way it's more palatable to the storyline. And this is the theory of this lady right here, Alice Vettel, I think, because their W's are like I don't know. I think they sound like bees and shit. So let's find out a little something about her. Now, oftentimes I'll put in a keyword to see what we find. I know where this is going. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Just a month ago, the party's leadership, especially the chairwoman Alice Vettel, embraced a pro-Israel stance, portraying the Jewish state as the last outpost. So so the idea that this guy is actually pro-Israeli in any way looks bad on her. What's the word I'm looking for? It screws with her cognitive dissonance. So it's probably an uncomfortable thing that, that might be true. And I said might because, again, I haven't seen the guy's social media, so I don't know. It's just the talk that there is. Let's see. Alice Vettel, the co-leader of the AFD, made claims that at a mass rally outside the Cathedral of Magdeburg near Talib al... Man, I swear to God. I'm going to call him Talib because I don't know how to pronounce his name. 50-year-old, a Saudi psychiatrist. The guy was a fucking psychiatrist. That's wild. Plowed his rented SUV into a crowd at the Christmas market on Friday, December the 20th. 5 people, including 9-year-old Andre Giebner, I think, were killed. At least 235 people were injured in the attack, dozens seriously so, according to authorities. And that is absolutely very upsetting, and I am so sorry that happened to everyone. But I think it's wild that some rumors are going out that this man's political stance was more leaning toward pro-Israel, pro-right side, that sort of thing. And it doesn't mean that has necessarily anything to do with what he did. Sometimes a person's politics are separate from their actions, but it doesn't paint a good look. So that's why she's coming up with a silly theory that he's a closet jihadist. So I just wanted to share how I thought that was kind of goofy. I mean, these headlines, they're definitely there to hook people's attention. Hold on a second. I got a wee message. Let me go see what that is. I unlock my shit every 5 minutes. Raquel. All right. Yeah, I will message her back. All right. Next article real quick. Let's see. Now, this is what made me want to do a live stream about Christmas propaganda. Okay. I'm no biblical scholar, but I'm going to do the best I can on this one. All right. So one might say that this is a bit problematic. And the reason being is that the part of the prophecy of Jesus being the Messiah is that the prophecy said he had to be born in Bethlehem. Not the second one. Apparently, there's a second one up near Galilee, I think, between Galilee and Nazareth, I think. I don't know. I'd have to look at the map, but the article is implying this is where it's at. Anyway, so Bethlehem, the actual Bethlehem, is near the border of the West Bank, where the West Bank is at. And that, of course, is it's somewhat Israeli occupied, but there's a lot of Palestinians living in those areas. And I think one of the things here is there's a lot of things to kind of guess at this, but I feel like this is an attempt to kind of undermine the Christian and the Jesus narrative that there is. Because, like I said, part of the whole basis of him being the actual Messiah is that he had to be born in that town. So if they try to say that maybe he was at a different place, would in a very sneaky way unravel that he was the Messiah at all. Which the Jewish people do not believe that he's a Messiah. Muslims believe he's a good prophet, but the Jews, if you look up what the Jews believe about Jesus, you're not going to like it. It's pretty gross. I am very sure our friend Brett will love to give you the Cliff Notes version in the chat of what they say in the Talmud. I'm not going to say it on here because it's a little gross and I don't want my channel shut down. But I am sure he will brief us on that and give us a proper Cliff Notes on that. But let's see what kind of horse and pony show they're throwing at us here. Scientists, because they never get anything wrong, I'm sure, scientists and historians are raising fresh questions over the long-held belief that Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. Recent archaeological recent archaeological findings and scholarly debates suggest that the historical birthplace of Jesus may not align with traditional narratives. Dun, dun, dun. With some experts proposing alternative locations such as Nazareth or another Bethlehem in Galilee. Now, Jesus, his family, I do believe, was actually from Nazareth. And when I think it was King Herod decided, he got his wild hair up his ass, said, you know what? Fuck those people in particular. Go get these kids. Try to, there's like someone who's going to upsert me or something. So the whole story was his family left Nazareth to go look for somewhere they could safely have Jesus, so that Jesus didn't end up getting killed. Again, would undermine a lot of the basis of this Messiah story. So if they had never left, then that would imply that there was no danger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's trying to unravel the story. And it's amazing the things that scientists will say. Most scientists and historians, scientists especially, will say whatever will get them funding. So, let's see. Dr. Joan Taylor of King's College, London, and Dr. Gibson of the University of North Carolina at Charlotte initiated an excavation near the Church of the Nativity in 2016. During the excavation, they discovered various pots and artifacts dating back to the 1st century CE, which some believe could support the traditional account of Bethlehem as the birthplace of Jesus. However, many historians and archaeologists believe that Jesus was not born in Bethlehem of Judea, citing a scant archaeological evidence to support this claim. Our earliest gospel, Mark, says nothing about his birthplace, and the Apostle Paul, who knew the brothers of Jesus, say nothing about Bethlehem. I asked ChatGPT if that was true, and I think they actually said that Paul did mention Bethlehem, or that somewhere else it is actually mentioned. But again, I'm no biblical scholar, but this absence of early biblical references has led scholars to question the historical accuracy of the traditional nativity story. So yeah, basically, if you poke enough holes into the very base in the root narrative of Jesus being born in Bethlehem, because the Son of God was going to be born, and I think Herod was like, "No, we're not having that," would unravel the entire premise and basis of the New Testament. And that's an interesting kind of stunt to pull, to be honest. I mean, if there's like little inconsistencies and things to be corrected in the Bible, that's one thing, but this would unravel it. And of course, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but we do have to consider the source of these kind of propaganda stories that came out the day before Christmas Eve. What a way to say Merry Christmas, isn't it? Professor Helen Bond, a leading expert in Christian history at the University of Edinburgh, also expressed skepticism about the traditional narrative. It is most likely that he simply was born in Nazareth, where his family lived, he said, or she said, as reported by Newsbomb. Yeah. She explained that Jesus is always known as Jesus of Nazareth, and that Nazareth is the most stable feature in the biblical narrative of his life. But the Bible explains that, I do believe. He had to leave town because that guy was on a fucking rager. I mean, I'm known as Mora from Oklahoma, but I wasn't born here. That's where he lived a lot of his life, but still. Anyway, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of bullshit in this. But I will drop the link in the chat so that y'all can look at the story and decide how y'all feel about that, because I'm all about that. Let's see. Hello, Gorilla. How are you? Glad to see you. What did you miss? Not too much. I'm just kind of getting into the Christmas propaganda. Well, it's not even really, it's Christmas time propaganda, I guess I should say. The European Union took most of the refugees from the Middle East. Most of them are undercover operatives. I don't know if most of them are. But maybe some. And some could be radicalized later. But I prefer not to say or do that on your channel. Okay, well, okay. You have to realize the Torah reads right to left, not left to right as modern English. I know Arabic does. I just didn't know if, I don't think Hebrew does. Let me go check real quick because I actually do not know. I know Arabic definitely does. Does. Okay, it knows what I'm going to ask. Does it? Okay, it does. I wasn't sure. I knew Arabic did. I just did not know if. Oh, shit. He wrote Bethlehem backward. It took me a second to realize what I was looking at. Okay. Okay. Nazareth Messiah. Okay. I mean, I've seen words backwards, like mirror reflected backward, but not like spelled backwards. So that took me a minute. But oh yeah, I was gonna put that in the chat for everybody. So y'all can look at that later. Okay, he says he prefers not to say, but basically the Talmud, or I'm sorry, I think it's Talmud, not the Torah. Basically says that Jesus is burning a lake of piss, I believe. I mean, there's more explicitives that you can guess, but that's the gist of it. Pronouncing them backwards sounds like Arabic. It probably has, you know, I can't. I'm not even gonna try. I'm afraid furniture will float if I try to do that. Anywho, but yeah. So it sounded like a little bit of Christmas propaganda they were throwing out there. Because they always like to start off propaganda with scientists say, or historians say. It's like, oh yeah, and that's a little layout. It's like, yeah, so here's Nazareth and Galilee, and down here, so there's Jerusalem. So yeah, Bethlehem would be very close to this area right here, right near the border of it. Oh, actually, I think I have a map up for that. Yes, I do. Yes, it's just inside the border of it. And it's been a long disputed area. So it makes sense that, you know, propagandists are going to propaganda. And this was absolute fucking horseshit. IDF says cross on Syrian Mount Hermon fixed after troops damaged it on purpose. And the fact that the Times of Israel is admitting this. Like, kudos to the Times of Israel for being honest. Haaretz is also a pretty good Israeli publication, but unfortunately they told the truth too much. And so Netanyahu has asked for them to be sanctioned and prevent them from getting, because a lot of publications, they get funding through ad space and sponsorships and shit. And so he's called to put it into that. So we might be seeing a lot more Times of Israel and less Haaretz, you know, in the coming times. But just thought I'd throw that out there. So the IDF has repaired a Christian cross that was apparently vandalized and moved by troops on Syria's Mount Hermon, which I think is the mountain. I think it's mentioned in the Book of Enoch. I think. Oh well. Anyway, and then returned to its original position, according to the Tuesday evening update from the military's international spokesperson. The right-wing TV pundit Janon, because a lot of times their Y is pronounced with a J sound. Janon Miguel posted on an account on Sunday he received from the unnamed IDF soldier who said that troops had moved the cross. Someone decided to dub the site the Jesus because there's a cross there that someone used a long time ago to mark the peak of the mountain. Until now, this point has been known as the cross, Miguel quoted the soldier saying. It said the soldiers didn't like the name used for that site, so they made sure that from now on, no one will have a reason to see a cross there and called it as such. There is a before photo when we arrived at twilight and after when we left at night. The soldier was quoted to referring to the photo showing the cross had been rotated from an upright Christian cross to position of an X. From now on, it can be called X Peak, the post concluded, followed by emojis of winking face, bicep muscles, and Israeli flag. Classy, real classy. this would be the mess right here. So basically, the IDF troops went up there and vandalized the cross in a country they're not even supposed to be in. Lovely, and that Miguel's post caused an uproar on social media and was later apparently deleted. The post sparked outrage online, especially given the lead up to the Christmas holiday, with Israel and foreign social media users and media outlets criticizing the act and accusing the IDF of deliberately destroying the cross. Yes. So, every Russian news outlet picked up on the story, and one reporting that every year on August 5th, Christian pilgrims ascend to Mount Hermon to commemorate when Jesus took his disciples, Peter, James, and John, to the summit where he transformed before them. Okay. The military subsequently issued a rebuke of the actions on Tuesday. Yeah, you kind of have to when you create an uproar that big. The IDF international spokesman, Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shashani, wrote, "This does not reflect the values of the IDF, and our soldiers represent all different backgrounds and faith. Today, the IDF soldiers fixed the cross in order to return it to its original state." Yeah, you probably had to make them go out there and fix that fucking mess because you made a terrible social media scene. Now, some idiots on Twitter were trying to defend this. Well, there was a couple. So here it is on this. And this fucking twit right here, with always watch out for stupid statements coming from people that have this profile picture. Just saying. It says, "Liar, the IDF fixed it and put it back in place." And someone goes, "Why did it need fixing?" And someone goes, "Oh, if they fixed it, it means it was already destroyed in the first place, idiot." So that's kind of like, it's already ready to excuse you. Well, I'm not saying that part to get myself in trouble, but you see it. But that's wild. Well, I mean, if they had read the article, they would have seen that the IDF admitted to doing it. They even had to issue a statement and apologized for it. So they're going, "The IDF fixed it." Yeah, that's not what the story's about there, Miss Brownfield. But yeah, so there is some humorous responses. Someone goes, "Our greatest ally, everyone." I know, right? Yes. But yeah, so it's just always kind of humorous to watch them embarrass themselves so much right before Christmas. Like, really? And the fact that he said that this doesn't represent, that's a different story we haven't gotten to yet. But, or is it? Is it? Oh, okay. This is okay. I got a lot of shit. Oh, but it does not reflect the IDF's values. The IDF likes to shoot kids in the legs. I feel like that does. I feel like this tracks with their values, actually. Anyway, next article. All right. So this fucking twit right here. Y'all saw that one CNN reporter that kept faking news stories and making an embarrassment of herself. I feel like this chick is a little bit better than that, just a little bit. What I found at Christianity's holiest sites in a war zone during Christmas season. She's going for extra. I discovered firsthand what it's like to be surrounded by eerie silence of Christmas at Christianity's holiest site during the Middle East War. I set out earlier this month to cover the state of Israel's conflict as talk of ceasefire agreements in Gaza began gaining momentum just as the Christmas season started. I don't know who this kid is here, but like, she was hoping to take a break from the war along the way share stories of Christians making their pilgrimages. But when I arrived at the holiest site where Jesus was born, preached, and died, from Bethlehem to Nazareth to the Sea of Galilee and Jerusalem, the only Christian I found was myself. Well, that's not true. And I'm going to show you the rest of that reference material. But she's claiming that Bethlehem and Nazareth and Galilee and Jerusalem, she was the only Christian. Well, that's not true. That's her being melodramatic. Because we have, and I do have other stuff too, they are celebrating. There were Christians there, just not a lot, and a lot of the festivities have been toned down. So I Googled this right here to find out which church that was. And that is the Church of the Holy Scepter. So I went and looked it up to see what that was. Let me see. I'll just do it again for the halibut. Church of the Holy Scepter in Jerusalem, Israel. There you go. So, I like to show the receipts where I can. Anyway, it said that besides the Israeli occupation, forces have turned the Church of the Holy Scepter and its surroundings into a closed military zone. So she mentioned there wasn't any Christians in that particular church, well, the surrounding areas. She failed to mention why that was the case and why that church was so quiet. She failed to mention the Israeli occupation has closed that area off. So that's some shit right there. But hold up. But there has been festivities because there's literally articles and stuff showing it. See? They even had a very somber parade of Christians. Fucking ads. Well, they're showing what it usually looks like. This is what it usually looks like right here. But not this time. They don't even have a Christmas tree up this time. So there has been some festivities, but not like it's normally is. And this minister is Lutheran minister, I believe he is. Yes, it does say Lutheran. He's on TikTok a lot. That's where I first saw him and saw the church there and what they were going through last year. Sorry about the ads. Sadly, there is not much I can really do about that. But usually they have huge Christmas parties and stuff there. But since the October War started, it's basically a mess. And it's made a lot of Christians want to run off and leave the area, which is something they've kind of done for a long time. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's not as many people as there normally is. But for that lady to go around and say, like, oh, she couldn't find a single... What exactly she said? Let me look. Let me see her exact wording. All right. Bethlehem and Nazareth, South Sea of Galilee, and to Jerusalem, she couldn't find any Christians. That lady is full of shit. So watch out for the Christmas propaganda and the silly shit. Actually, I think this is a good article. I think y'all would like as well. So let me copy that and toss that into the chat as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. There's definitely a war on Christians. Yes, but it's being done by Zionists. Correct. Absolutely. Because most of them are rabid leftists. And they're infecting shit. Yes. It was the Zionists that turned Rome against Jesus. Yeah. Well, that was part of it. Because the Romans, they had part to do with it. But they don't like you to know that, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Sanhedrin. It was a committee of 70 Jewish judges that had found Jesus guilty and sent him to be executed. So the narrative generally is they want you to believe that it was the Romans that done it. That Judas went and told the Romans arrested him, the Romans tried him, and the Romans killed him. And that's not 100% true in that. The Romans had their play in it, don't get me wrong. Merry Christmas, Hector Milkshake. But yeah, it was the Sanhedrin. I don't know how to pronounce that, but if you just look up, if you ask ChatGPT or whatever the freaking name of the committee, it'll yeah. So there we go. We'll throw that in there because I always encourage everybody to like check out the reading material for themselves. Because again, I don't expect everybody to fall in line with what I say. The important thing is to read and see not only what they say, but what's not said. You know what I mean? That's important to me for y'all to do. It's important for everybody to do. Christmas in Bethlehem, under the shadow of Israel's war in Gaza. That was 15 hours ago. So, again, when the lady's like, all these towns I went to, there's no Christians. She picked one church that is closed down by military, military occupation, quite frankly. But there are very mild Christmas activities going on. They just feel really bad when, their fellow Palestinians are being killed. And I can understand that. It's hard to get into a festive spirit when that's happening. And it's horribly unfortunate. Yeah. Which one is this? Oh, yeah, this is more of the... Oh, for some reason it's... I don't know. It's duplicating some of the tabs I have open. I don't know why. All right. So next article. Foreign leaders condemn Russia's inhumane Christmas Day attack on Ukraine's power grid. Well, every time I see his Weasley fucking face, it looks so punchable. So, when I'm looking at this and I'm like, did Ukraine do something to deserve this? So I decided to look around, and we'll check it out. So, nearly 500,000 households were left without power on Christmas Day in frigid weather after further missile attacks by Russia on Ukraine's damaged power grid, according to multiple reports. New drone and missile strikes by Russia across Ukraine, which officials say may or may not have entered other foreign airspace. Now, makes me fucking wonder what they're implying. Unless it came from like a northwest part of Russia where it might have had a kind of, tiptoe over Belarus's airspace. I don't know what the fuck they're implying here. I know that's a weird thing to get hung up on, but I feel like it's a strange thing for them to add. Because like a good chunk, like not all of it, but at least a third of Ukraine shares a border with Russia. And I'm saying like that's just an estimation. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go look, because I'm not a map expert or anything. So let's go fucking look at this real quick. Let's back it up. Yeah, that. So when I say a third, that's what I'm picturing. Like one. Yeah, that's about a third. I would say almost a third shares a border with Russia. So they're like, it may or may not have gone over other airspace. Going this way over Belarus is the only thing I can think of that they're fucking talking about. But it still seems kind of like, I don't know. Seemed like something stupid to say. It bugged me, I guess. And so I wanted to complain about that part for a second. Anyway, which officials may or may not have entered other foreign airspace, began Tuesday night and continued onto Christmas Day, with the country's energy minister warning of power cuts. Well, I reckon. So I wondered, well, what could have happened? I mean, granted, war is war, but for them to be so flabbergasted that, they got, a bit of a shooting on Christmas Eve. And so it says, Russia drone warehouse engulfed in devastating fire 2 days ago, which means that was the 23rd. So Russia returned fire the day after. That's not that shocking when you look at it that way. They're acting like it came out of nowhere. Like, why would they do this out of nowhere? That's the vibe they're trying to get. Well, 2 days ago, yeah, Ukraine did something. And I'm not saying, they're not, this back and forth, I get it. But, like, don't pretend it came out of nowhere. Ukrainian military intelligence says Russia Shahad 136 drone warehouse became engulfed in a devastating fire that destroyed $16 million worth of drone parts, according to the Telegram post by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The Yelabuga, I guess, drone factory located more than 800 miles from the border of Ukraine in Russia's special economic zone. I'm just not going to try to pronounce that right now. Produces Shahed drones for Moscow's military, which are Iranian. Okay. I don't notice every time they're trying to go after somebody or demonize somebody, they have the Iranian drones. They have Iranian missiles. I ran this. I ran that. God damn. That's so tiring. Iran must be a huge powerhouse of weapons because they're giving everybody weapons, apparently. So, yes, this happened just the other day. And then they're like, how could they attack us out of nowhere? That's the attitude they're giving. Well, you shot at them on the 23rd, and they shot at you on the 24th. That's some give and take right there, you little Weasley fuck. God, I hate this guy. I've hated him for like 2 years. Ever since I first saw his face, I was like, yeah. Oh, and Russia's economy is set to lose another source of income that Ukraine controls. Yeah, I'm sure this had something to do with it as well. Russia's natural gas transit deal with Ukraine is set to expire soon. Apparently, it's the 5th of January. I went and looked it up, and I think it's the 5th of January that it expires. And they said that they are not going to renew it. The deal's possible end affects European countries relying on Russia's gas via Ukraine. Russia has shifted much of its energy exports to India and China amid Western sanctions, which, I mean, you can't blame him. Russia is set to lose yet another source of income for its war chest in days, and it's Ukraine calling the shots. So yeah, so if someone was sanctioning me and making things very fucking difficult for me to survive, I would shoot at them too. So when Ukraine plays the victim and grabs their fucking pearls and acts shocked that something happened, just go look up and see what happened a day or a month prior, and it will usually tell you exactly what you need to know. So, all right. Oh, shit. I have to end this now, which we are done. So, thank you. Oh, yeah, these will be for next time. But, let's see. Let me see. All right. I don't fall in line, and you should not, and I am proud of you for that. The Iranians pronounce it Iran. Oh, okay. Iran. I will try to remember that. I can't guarantee that I will, but I will make an effort to do so. Thank you for telling us. Because I don't know how many of y'all have been there, but he's been the closest, I think, to Iran. I've never been to Iran. So, but he's been in that part of the world before. So I'm likely to believe he's probably more correct than I am. So I will go with that. Anywho, all right. So I'm going to end this live stream. But stick around because I'm going to start a new one, and we are going to watch the new Werewolves movie that came out around, I think, December the 6th. But it took forever. It took forever to freaking get that website to have the movie. But now we have it. So I'm going to get that started and watch my channel for it to go live. And I should be live in about 7 or 8 minutes. So grab your popcorn. Go to the bathroom if you gotta, and I will see y'all soon. Let me get the little song ready so we can play us out. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me bitch and complain. You guys are awesome, and I'm lucky to have y'all here. So, love y'all.
Welcome to the ship show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. 'Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, hey, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous